If you follow along with this video, you'll make this part and you'll make this drawing. I do recommend, however, that you look at the instructions for the exercise so that you make sure you're working on the right stuff. Also, I challenge you to challenge the method that I've provided in this video. There have got to be better ways to do it, and I believe you can find them. Do so and then share those ideas with other people. Make sure you're working in millimeters. Make sure you've got good kind of naming scheme going on here, naming process for your parts. Make sure you save frequently. Setting up your part is really a big deal. Now for this product, or excuse me, for this exercise and this part, we have a particular strategy we want to take, a new strategy. And the strategy we want is we want to imagine the top-down view of this part, and we want to draw the profile of the top-down view. Now what I'm doing here is I've started at the origin, and I'm just using the numbers that are kind of appearing near my cursor to get a sense for the basic shape of the part. Trying to get approximately right. I don't need to be very close here, and there's lots of ways to think about this, but I do like to make my part basically how I want it to be. Now I know up here I've got a round, and I'm going to try to deal with that round a little bit later, so I'm kind of pausing on sketching in that chain and coming back down to the bottom. Now what I'd really like to do is get this point that I'm trying to click right now to line up with the dot or the point that's to the right, but I can't get the computer to really do that. So in order to make sure it's being done right, I think I'm just going to click down some known lower distance and then jump out of the sketching and get over to the dimensioning and choose the dimensions that I want. Now it's going to get a little hard to see here for just a second, but that's okay. Just trying to tell the sketch exactly what I'm wanting. Now I can get these two lines to be the same height. But it does turn out that while I was making those dimensions, I thought I'd picked on a different line. And as I try now to do that, don't seem to be able to pick the thing that I want here. And that's troubling. So I'm not actually quite sure what those blue lines are that appeared. So I'm gonna kind of Control Z out of that and just get back to this 3 millimeter thing and change it to 2 millimeters. And that's going to get me my two lines going to the same height. Okay, now that's good because now I can choose this arc tool, and of course there's options in the arc tool. I want to get the option that is representative of what I'm trying to do. And so that's looking pretty good, and you can see it's turned purple. Now I have a closed shape, and that's actually what my top-down profile looks like, so I'm good with that. I'm going to accept that. Now what I want to do is extrude this upward some amount, but not 10 millimeters. I want to choose the maximum amount according to my sketch, which I've just looked at that sketch and set it. Alright, so that's good. Now with this strategy for modeling that we're doing, we're going to want to now take this basic profile and start cutting down in the downward direction from the topmost surface of the part, the things that need to be cut. Alright, so as I think about how to do this, I need to make sure that I'm sketching the area that I want to get rid of. And the area that I want to get rid of is not that rectangle in the bottom left corner. So I'm going to have to sketch just kind of everything else to do that. Now while I'm doing this, I want to be really careful that I'm choosing the right points. And you know, when we're talking about straight lines and vertices according to these straight lines, it's actually not that hard, but once we get to these rounded areas, it can be we can make a mistake when we pick the points, and when we do that, it can result in some strange cuts. Let's see how we did on this. Hopefully this worked out for us. We won't know here till we do the full rendering, meaning the rebuild, which happens when we click the blue, and that looks like that worked out just fine. Now you can see my sketch plane is still highlighted blue up there, meaning I could do more operations on it. But now I'm going to go choose another plane. This time I'm choosing the surface that I want to make the next set of cuts on. Setting this to 1, setting this other dimension to 1, and now I'm going to cut downward some amount. I'm going to cut down 1 unit down. So I'm doing the extrude cut. That's looking good. That's what I want. So I'm going to accept that and then look at the view from isometric point of view. See that it lines up with my drawings, turn off my planes, click off to the side to get that sketch plane to disappear, and I'm saving that. I'm liking it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is assign some materials to this. 6061 T4 is what I'm going to assign. So just finding that and then hitting apply and then hitting close. Now you can see my material is specified on that left-hand side there. Now, I'm going to look at the mass properties, see if this makes if this is making sense. All right, now I'm not quite sure about this number. I'm not entirely sure. Now I know that I can find that number and I need to calculate it to see if it's right. I should take the time to do that now, but I'm gonna go on and make the drawing because I know I can go back and change my part and it will update my drawing. Going to the B-size drawing, I'm gonna just tell it what part I want to have in there and then the views that I want. I'm gonna put the standard views that we're interested in, tell it okay, and here comes the parts popped up. I'm going to move my isometric view off to the side. Going to rearrange my other parts just a little bit, thinking about where I'm going to put the dimensions. Now I know when I look at the top left image here, it's going to be the only place I can specify the radius of that curvature. So I don't want to put it too close to the title block. But I think this is going to work out fine. So that's good. I got my radius of 1. That's what I was hoping for. And that's right. Now as I dimension out these other pieces, I'm going to want to think about where the origin is and dimension from the origin. So that's what I'm going to do. We don't always have to dimension from the origin, but the point is that there's a thing called tolerance stack up, and we'll learn about tolerance stack up later, but it does help if you can dimension from the same plane. Now I don't really want to make this dimension. I want to come off, as I said, from the same place. Now this is bothering me because this is not the dimension I expected. I expected this to be 2, and you can see I'm a little bit more than 2 there. So I know I've got a problem, which could be why my volumetric measurement looked strange to me or felt strange, or I wasn't quite sure. So I know there's a problem there. I'm going to go back to my part after I, well, in a little bit I'm going to go back and just fix the part, and then my drawing will be updated. So I'm just going to go out and dimension the rest of this. Just like to look and see if things are looking right. If I missed some dimensions, what have I missed, and what extra dimensions do I need to add? And the process of going through this is really, really important to think about what it might be like to make this, and if you had enough information to actually make it. Just pondering on that, looking around, seeing how I'm feeling about that. All right, so I'm going to save this drawing. It's looking okay. I do know, however, that I have that problem with the dimension that should be 2 millimeters and is not. So I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. Let me just add in a few notes here first. And actually I haven't cleaned up the title block yet. So I'll do that now. And I'm going to put the notes in a nice kind of tidy way. All right, so going in now and editing the format. And certainly this drawing number size is driving me nuts, and I think I can change that somewhere. I will, don't see it right over there. But I think that, yeah, I should be able to go back and double click that and then change the font size, as you see right here when I'm writing in the date. Okay, now I want to specify my material. This is the 6061 T4. And then specify how it needs to be finished. Would it be bead blasted? Would it be a machine surface? Would it be a polished surface? Would it be anodized? Lots of different options there. Part IV1. You know, I's and ones are really tricky in computer codes, but here we have, I's, ones, and L's. But at least in this case, I and 1 are appearing differently in the font. Okay. All right, so now I'm back into the part, and what I want to do is figure out how I'm going to modify that part. So I'm going to go edit the sketch. And as I edit the sketch, I realize that I've actually never put any dimensions on what it should be. So I'm going to add in the smart dimension. And as I add in that smart dimension, I set that thing to 2, which is what I wanted it to be the whole time. And I'm going to set this one also equal to 2, which is what I wanted it to be the whole time. And then I'm gonna just hit OK on that sketch. I've edited the sketch, and what's happened in the program is it kind of went back to where we were in the sketching. It took the new sketch and then reapplied all the operations that we wanted. So look, sometimes when you're trying to get the orientation you want, if your part is nearly upside down, it will default to being upside down, basically. So I've got it to about the right spot. Now I'm going back into the volume, and it feels a little bit better to me. I know from the drawing that it's correct. So we're in good shape there. I think that's about all we've got. Feeling good about that. I think we're done.